Is India safe? I answer that question today. Before we get into today's video, if you guys would turn on your notifications, click the like button, leave a comment for anything that I left out on the video or any questions you have, I'd be very appreciative of that. Enjoy the video. Welcome back everyone to Kiranvstravel. My name is Kiran and I travel the world. Today I'm going to be going over a quick question that I always get from everyone that I've ever met online in person, and that is India safe to travel to? Is India safe? Is India safe for foreigners? Is India safe for tourists? All those things fall under the same category, and I'm here to answer that for you. India's culture in itself breeds niceness, and hear me out. The people of India, there's quite a few religions that are prevalent in India, whether that's Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, and then being a Muslim. All those people, all those religions that live in India, to the core, they're like really nice people. And religion and culture, obviously different, but in the little bit of overlap, the core of the human is good, and they care a lot about you. They care a lot about the foreigners. They understand. They get the ecosystem, and for that reason, they're there to help. They're there to make you feel special, and they do that a lot. And they're very, very helpful. And there's a lot of times on this trip where I was getting overwhelmed, or I didn't know where I was going, and maybe I didn't speak the same language as them, but through hand gestures and a couple different ways, they were able to make me feel at home in some ways. And that goes pretty far, because when you're traveling, not only is it hard to feel at home, but in India it's like damn near impossible. So I'll also discuss the safety of more public places, as well as like hostels and hotels and Airbnbs and things of the sort. For public places, things like malls, parks, things of the sort. Pretty much every single mall that I went to or that I stopped in, they have that like TSA kind of big radiation cancer pumping through you little thing where you like walk through and it beeps if you have like a bunch of metal on you or whatever. So they have that at pretty much every mall I went to, as well as a place to screen your belongings, so like backpacks, handbags. They got the metal detector on hand. Women are put aside from the men, but again, it's a little overwhelming. It's like annoying doing that at like every single mall, but it does give you that sense of security that maybe you don't think that you subconsciously need. So that makes you feel a little better. For hotels and hostels, and I'll throw Airbnbs as in there as well, it is huge. The Indian government has really strict rules on how they follow their travelers. So anywhere that you go to that's at least a hostel or a hotel, they'll ask you for your passport, so some form of ID, proof of ID, as well as where you came from, where you plan on going to. And I made up a lot of this, a lot of the stuff that are on that paperwork, because I didn't care for people to know too much about me. But it is good to know that they are keeping in some track what is going on in the hostel. So with that being said, almost every hostel and hotel that I was at, there's a guard in the front. And again, almost every hotel I went to had the like TSA thing that you walk through and it beeps and then they check you. So it is nice knowing that there is that security. At least that was the case for all like the higher end hotels that I stayed at, so like 3 stars plus, I guess. Transportation, how safe is it to transport throughout India? So I'll talk about like plane, train, driving, ride-sharing apps, riding on a motorcycle, all those things. So the plane, it's very safe. They're held at a high standard. All those pre-checked things, the screening, safety screenings, passports, all that infrastructure is there. Trains, the British left a wonderful railway system. The infrastructure is there. So with all that being said, the only thing that you do have to be wary of is like pickpocketing. you'll just see, just from the fact that India is so populated, when you're in the thick of it and the train station is the thick of it, you'll be a little overwhelmed from the people around you. Pickpocketing may happen. What I do, and I highly recommend everyone else does, is I always kept my personal belongings that really mattered to me, that I had to walk around with day to day, in a small fanny pack that was placed under my shirt or under my jacket, and that was put on the front of my body right over my chest. So I had a feeling for it. It's different. It's hard to like reach in through my shirt and grab a $20 bill or whatever. So that is one thing I'll mention. And then harping back on the hotels and hostels, almost every hostel I went to, every single one, and that goes for anywhere in the world, they have lockers. And if you're staying in a hostel that you don't feel safe leaving your stuff in, you should probably not be staying in that hostel anyways. Every hostel I stayed at, I didn't feel uncomfortable at any point leaving my belongings in. Bring a lock your stuff up. When you go out, it's beautiful having that like clarity, knowing that there's no way that like you're not thinking about like, oh man, is my stuff getting robbed there at the hostel? Yeah, you don't want that. Bring a nice lock, and don't travel with too many personal belongings that you care a lot about or have a lot of worth, I guess. Taxis, Ubers, and Olas. I'll keep taxis separate, so taxis and rickshaws separate, and I'll go over the ride-sharing apps. For the most part, these apps are again like rate basis, so the people that pick you up have to be good drivers. Good drivers, I mean, in India, anything like above like a 4.2 is like a good driver on Uber. And I had a great time. I had no bad experiences on Uber or Ola. The big benefit about those two apps is like there is, I don't know how true this is, but I was told that there is some form of background check involved. So that adds like some level of security, at least for you. Even if it's like kind of placebo, like if we're just being kind of honest to each other. But one of the big things is that you will not get hiked up on price. You won't get like run over like you would on the taxi or the rickshaws. It's supply and demand. If it's really busy, even then you won't be paying that premium, the foreigner's tax, I'll call it, that you'll be getting at anywhere else, like just trying to travel with a rickshaw or a taxi driver. You will get taxed there, the foreigner's tax. I'd recommend never using a rickshaw or a taxi driver if you can help it. And if you do, don't be afraid to walk away from their Looney Tunes prices. It happened to me all the time. I just keep walking. They'd either look for somebody else to rip off, or they'd realize that I'm not somebody that they're going to be able to rip off, so they just agree to a reasonable price. And you have to understand what reasonable prices are. So do not pay 100 rupees to go half of a kilometer. It's just like, that's like really obvious, I think. But yeah, just be stern. Don't be rude. It's not like they're gonna like mug you if you say no to them. Just be aware of that. Driving is super unsafe. Do not drive. If you can help it, do not drive. It's weird. The chaos in India is crazy. You might think I'm an amazing, I'm the best driver in the world. You're the best driver for you in your country or in any westernized countries where people abide by the traffic laws, because in India there is no such thing. I don't know if it's just police not enforcing it or there's just not enough officers on the road. People blow past red lights. I mean, when I was on a motorcycle, I almost got hit because somebody ran a red light. It was insanity. Do not drive if you can help it. And if you do, try to go, give yourself the best shot by taking non-crazy roads, I guess I'll say. Lastly, the money situation. That's a big thing as well. How do you travel with money safely? India is a country where they have great infrastructure when it comes to like ATM machines, banks and stuff like that. You can go to like any bank as long as whoever you're personally banking with allows you to, withdraw in a foreign country. I don't know about the fees associated to those things. Those are different for every, ranging from bank to bank. But personally, I've had an experience in the past where my bank, when I traveled somewhere, froze my card and would send me a new card without even telling me to my address here in the United States, which is just not going to work. The card I had out there just no longer worked anymore. They refused to let it work again. And I just could not risk that being an issue in India, being that I was going to be there for 3 months. So I took all the money that I thought I was going to use in cash. I didn't use an ATM at all while I was in India. A lot of my friends that I met along the way did, and they, spoke highly of the experience. Wasn't any issue at all. But for me personally, everything I did do was money I brought on person, so that's cash. Efectivo, as they'll say in Spanish. With all that being said, is India safe? Hell yes it is. I promise you, just look at the sheer facts of it. India has per capita the lowest murder rate, in any of these like big countries you're going to be traveling to or considering to travel to. So that's safe there. Honestly, like robberies really low. It's just not in like the people there. It's not in them, I don't think, or at least not from what I experienced. I was treated with respect, and you'll be put in situations in any country, in any place you travel to in the world that are uncomfortable, but it's your job to get yourself out of it as safely as you can. And if you're not able to, scream for help. Do what you got to do. That's for sure. This is not meant to be as like an end-all be-all safety course, crash course video, but I do recommend, do what you have to do to stay safe. Take the precautions, and I promise you, with all that being said, India in itself is wonderful and it's safe. At no point did I feel like my life, my belongings were at danger during my travel in India.